Hund? Okay. How about you, Foofy? You missed. Welcome back to normalcy. That's what we're calling this. Because something about Shatona is totally normal, right? I know, Foofy, I know. Something about me is normal. He's just really being incredibly needy tonight. And now Neville's like, wait a minute, you can't pet him without me. So here we go. Come on, come here. Toothless is trying to block him from getting over here. We were told that Toothless was basically mostly either, he was mostly full-size dachshund. Flame's getting awful high over there. Full-size dachshund and cocker. No, he is not. That dog, I don't know what else is in him. Maybe cocker, maybe not. But that dog has a lot of border collie in him. I mean, he's got to be at least half. Because he has all the traits. I didn't know it until I started watching that Shaun the Sheepman. And I was like, oh my gravy, that's Toothless. The intensity, the expressions, the herding. You know, I mean, just like, oh wow. Hi, Neville. Oh, come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. That's a good boy, huh? Yes, you're a good boy. He's your boy, Nashity. Okay. I already pet you. Okay, you guys, go away. All right, so, we got some stuff read, and that was good. First up, we had a DNF, and I'm going to forget the name of it. So I'm going to go get it so that I don't forget the name, because it's important. What did I do with my... Oh, there they are. This is what happens if you don't put stuff where they belong. You know, glasses belong on your head. Either in front of your eyeballs or on top, right? Yes, because yes. Okay. The name of the book that I just DNF'd it last night. I don't know if I got a whole chapter in. Maybe. Don't know. But I didn't like it. The author has written a Christian fiction series. This is not Christian fiction, and the language showed it wasn't horrific. But on top of the writing that I didn't like, which is really interesting because I'm liking the writing of the other series, so I don't know. But it's The Creatures of Holden Beach and the Murder They Did Not Commit. I love that title. It's a cozy mystery. Whatever, but it says early one spring morning, residents of Holden Beach, North Carolina, find what appears to be two aliens washed up on the beach, and then they're going to find out what it is. Well, obviously the aliens did not murder anybody because they're not real, and it's all a hoax. So it was good. It was promising to be really fun. I was like, yes, please give me all the yeah. No, I'm going to regret doing that. I'll put it this way, then it can't slide down. Anyway, for one thing, the author, I don't know why he did it, because this is supposed to be North Carolina. No one uses contractions, or they use very few contractions. So that is not a good way for authors. I'm trying to come up with more contractions to write, because readers will not enjoy. I just can't. It is not realistic. We contract the words. It's natural. Now, I've seen it used, and actually, come to think of it, I used it in one of mine. I had a guy who was a child in India until he was 8, and then he came to the U.S., and when he got emotional, he would start dropping the contractions. He would become more formal. And his father, who grew up in India, often used full words instead of contractions. But I've seen that in people who English is a second language. Sometimes they do not. See, it was so awkward to listen to that I didn't enjoy the narrator, but I don't know if that was the narrator's fault or if I did have to listen to it faster. So, I mean, the narrator wasn't amazing. But the narrator, I don't know if it's the same person, but the narrator for the one that I'm listening to now, I'm not having a problem with, and I'm enjoying the story. So the second book it's part of the Cold Grid something series, and it's Cold Winter is the first book. And there's 3 so far, or 4, and there might be a 5th. I'm getting fuzzy. I talked to him just the other day, and already I'm getting fuzzy. But it was good. So far what I've listened to is good. I think I heard a word, but then I'm starting to wonder if it was actually from that other book, and I'm like infusing it onto this one. So I'm not sure about that, but there might have been a word. When the episode for Chris Underwood comes up, if you want to know more about the series and everything, that's the episode to listen to, because he was fascinating. The stuff that this author did. I mean, he actually, like, he put a ship from D-Day in his book, semi-contemporary. It's like 2019, 2020, something like that. Semi-contemporary, and they actually use it in the book. This ship it's one of the ones that brought the tanks down to the beach at Normandy on D-Day, and there's the actual ship. It's in Evansville, Indiana, and you can actually go, and he's actually stayed on it. They take it to different places. It's going to be in Nashville in late September. Just saying. So they take it places and they do these things. So it was really a fascinating discussion with him. I was really excited about it. And so, I thought I'm going to listen to the Cozy Mystery first before I start a series, right? Yeah, no, I DNF'd it. And I'm pretty certain I won't go back. I'm just not going to. That doesn't mean I won't try another of his. He may have had a reason for what he did with that one, but the lack of contractions in that one is not in this other book, so it's not choppy and frustrating to listen to. So far, I'm actually enjoying Cold Winter. I'm only like 3-4 chapters in, something like that, but I am enjoying it. The other audiobook that I finished was The Copper Scroll by Nicholas Teagarden, and it was one of the... It might be the worst audio experience I've ever had. It might be. I don't recommend the audio. The narrator doesn't pronounce things properly. I looked them up to make sure I was. It was so bad in places that I felt like I looked to make sure this wasn't AI. But it actually wasn't. If I hear Capernaum one more time instead of Capernaum, I'm going to lose it. It was like and Masada instead of Masada. There was at one point instead of desert, it was dessert, and it was. I'm sure it was spelled right, so it wasn't like cake. I think she was pronouncing it like to desert the cause or whatever, but that's not the word that belongs there. But there were a lot of them. Instead of Elisha, it was Alicia. I've never heard anyone pronounce it Alicia. I looked that up because I was like, maybe that's regional. I can't find anywhere that they say Alicia. I don't know. There was a lot like that. But then there were other words that were just, I could tell that they had to be right. And so I don't understand. I just really don't understand. I don't know. But it was, at the end there, I was getting so frustrated that I actually put it on almost 3 times speed just to get the story, and hopefully the words would garble enough. And it did help. You hear the instead of Capernaum. It's like it was better, but it was yeah. There was a review that said that there were a couple of foul words in the last few chapters. I did not hear them, but again, I was listening to this at warp speed, so it could have been that. So the story of the Copper Scrolls it's kind of like Indiana Jones meets National Treasure with a sprinkling of Dan Brown thrown in without the smut. So basically you have Joshua, his grandpa called him Masa, from Masada. And he wants to be an archaeologist, and he is really fascinated by the copper scroll that was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. So he gets a chance to go over to Jordan, I think it is, and look at the scrolls and study the scrolls and attend this class with this guy and do this for his thesis, right? He's got theories, and the professor isn't really impressed with his theories until he finds a few things. And then the professor is kind of like, okay. And the next thing you know, there's 3 of them working on this together. There's Joshua and a young woman, Noah, who was not impressed with him, but they kind of forge a friendship. And then this other gal just shows up. She's heard about their research, and she wants to be a part of it. She's clearly a part of the Templars. She doesn't hide it. And that's what happens in this book. So the Templars, the Jewish community, the Catholic community, and then ISIS are all interested in what they're finding. It's a wild ride across all of that entire area of the world. You have Mossad helping them. You have, where's the traitor? There's clearly a mole, because these people know everywhere they're going to be. Who's the mole? What's the mole? What's going on? And you think you know who it is, but then you're not sure. And then you're like, no, it's not. But then, yes, it is. And I mean, it's about the time you think you know what's going on, it twists again. And it was really good. I really actually enjoyed it. I want more. I think we need more. And I think Tea Garden would do a really good job with it. So for what it's worth, the Copper Scroll, really good. I hope to read more by him. I think does he have other books out? I don't recall. That might have been Chris Underwood. Anyway, so, but I want more, because that was a lot of fun. It was just, I absolutely would recommend the Kindle or the, paperback. I will probably buy the paperback. I was really looking forward to this for my grandsons, because I thought that would be, an exciting and fun story for them. But there is absolutely no way they'd be able to stand listening to it. And that was too bad. And I know he really liked his narrator. I mean, he talked about her, I think, if I'm remembering the right guy. And he liked his narrator, but I didn't. It was, I don't usually say, don't do this, but I would say, don't waste your money or your credit or whatever. And I feel bad because, you spend a fortune on narrators, and then to have someone say, yeah, I don't like the narrator, it's really bad, that feels bad. But sorry, it was. And at the beginning, there were a few times where you could tell that she read the sentence and then read it again, and one didn't get cut out, or she pasted in a correction and it pasted in twice. I don't know which it was, but there were a couple places in the beginning where it was repeated, and I was like, that's strange. I could see how that could happen, and yet I've never seen Krista do that. So I told Krista, hey, here's something that I just wanted to say. This is great that you've done a fabulous job with. And I wasn't really upset about it. I just noticed it. But then later the pronunciations there were some, Koine Greek, I think it was Keone. Yeah, it was, I understand that some people pronounce things slightly differently, but I've seen Galatians and Colossians, and, whatever. I know Yael, Jael, the woman with the stake, people pronounce that different. If it had been words like that, it wouldn't have bothered me. But there were too many, and there were too many that were just totally different from how I pronounce them. But there were too many that I know, I have never heard anyone say Alicia, and I looked that up. I'm like, okay, how do you say this? Is this something that I just didn't know? Appalachia. When I was in school, they taught us Appalachia. And so we said Appalachia. When I got there and everyone's talking about Appalachia, I was like, what? I was so fresh. I thought maybe, just maybe, it was that kind of thing. No. So it was bad, and that's really frustrating. But so, and oh, one more. I finished Silver and the Moonlit Murders. It's the third book in the Silver and Carlisle mystery, and then this time they head off to Suffolk. A friend of Laura's, it has a theater there, the Moonlit Theater. I think it's just the Moonlit Theater. It was an Art Deco thing built in the 20s, and it's struggling. They're having this big, centennial. They're calling it a centenary. I'm not sure that that's how they pronounce it, though. But anyway, I've never heard the word. I've heard centennial, but centenary. I don't know how they pronounced it now. I was like, I have to look this word up because I've not heard this. And I thought maybe it was a word that Brits pronounce differently. Schedule. I thought it was that kind of thing. No. It's just, it actually was, come on. Featherstone Haugh. Hough. They pronounce Fanshawe. Okay, so you can have words. I really wondered if they were saying centennial and calling it centenary or I can't even remember what they called it. But no, it was actually a different word. And I just have never run across it that way. I've always seen centennial. So whatever. But anyway, they're having this big thing. And if they don't get enough people in and enough support for the theater at this big thing, the theater is going to go. Someone wants to develop it. And as soon as I heard develop it, I'm like, oh, well, there's suspect number one for me, but I wasn't sure, that's a clue that this could be a problem, but that's not a giveaway. That's kind of too easy. So I was like, I don't know. But what happened was just as they're getting ready, they're doing the final rehearsals and stuff. They do the scene. It's Julius Caesar. They do the scene where everybody stabs Caesar, and the whole et tu Brute. The whole thing, right? And he's killed. And the problem isn't who wants to kill this guy. It's more like who doesn't. Everybody wants this guy dead. Maybe one person doesn't. Everybody wants this guy dead. So it's like, that's not going to help, which was good. It made it a whole lot of fun. You're trying to figure out what's going on and all the things. In the meantime, with this one, you have a lot of things going on in the background, but you also have things going on with him. He's figuring things out about himself that he didn't know. And he's remembering things, and we're finding out things that they don't know. And oh my goodness, and that's pretty much all I can tell you without spoilers. That's what you get. But it was so much fun. I feel like this might be the one that had a word. I think it did. So the last one, they used the word bastard to refer to an illegitimate child. And I think it had to do with that's how it was written in the, rules of primogeniture. I always mispronounce that word. So, I will never be a narrator. But it feels like it was part of that discussion. So it might have even been from Once Upon a Time. This time, I think in this one, they used it as a foul word. It's not one that just makes me cringe like many do, but it is one I still don't like. But that, as far as I can recall, that was the only one, and for which I was grateful. I'm just saying, so really, really grateful. Anyway, I did finish, where are we here? Physically, Truth Cursed by Angie Dickinson. I loved this way more than I expected to. I can't wait to... There's another one that I have on audio waiting in the wings. Something about Bethlehem or Star or both. I don't know. Star... I don't know. It was something. But she's got another one out, and I want to read it. This, we've talked about it a lot. Everybody and their brothers talked about it. You've got the girl. She goes off to finishing school. And it turns out it's actually a spy school. And basically, every single person in this book, except for, what is her name? Is her name Cressida? Or is that another book? What's her name? Yes. Okay. Anyway, so except for Cressida, every single person in this book at some point is not who they're purported to be. And that's all I can tell you about that, or it's total major spoilerage. But because she has to tell the truth, what you see is what you get with her. And there is no falseness in her because there can't be. But every single other person, what you're supposed to know about them will not be true at some point. It's when and how so that you can decide that matters. It's fascinating. I loved it. I loved the end. I loved the point. And I think there is room for another one in this world. I don't really want a sequel, but I think it would be fun to have another one in this world. And yeah, I loved the whole truth curse. I loved everything about that. It had the effect of like Ella Enchanted, but not quite the same. It wasn't like a copy by any stretch, but it had some of the same effects in certain places. And I don't know, I really, 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 really enjoyed it. And I knew I was going to like it. You know, I was going to like it. I did not expect to like it this much. So there's that one. I'll put this over here and get it out of the way. All right. Got that. And then, so that was my March Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. My April Read Your Bookshelf Challenge was Money, Love, and Kate, and also The Story of a Nickel. Okay. So Money, Love, and Kate, I had forgotten the story of it. And it's a good story. I don't know how much of it I can tell. All right. If you don't want to know possible spoilers, I'm going to do my best to leave major spoilers out. But if you don't want to know possible spoilers, skip this. I'll try to remember to put chapters in so that you can just move along. But Money, Love, and Kate, we have a young man who is down on his luck. He's down to his last $5. His room is paid up till the weekend in his boarding house, but then he's not going to be able to pay it. He can't find a job. And way back when, a long time ago, he left his uncle and went to, have adventures. He's been all over the world. He's done all kinds of things. He's worked in Australia. He's panned for gold in California. Didn't get any gold there. Just all the things, right? And then now he's in this town. I don't know where he is. I don't recall. But he's in this town, and he's sitting on this bench. He always buys peanuts for the squirrels. And then this little boy comes up to him and says, hey, can I have a few of those peanuts? I'm really hungry. And he's like, I don't have many left, but, you can have what I have. And as they get talking, he realizes this little boy has run away. And he wants to try to convince the kid to go home. So he takes the kid out, gets the kid some food, finds out the kid doesn't have anywhere to sleep. Again, run away. And brings him back home to his boarding house where they get more food. And he learns pretty quickly that he can't tell this kid what to do. He's got to kind of basically manipulate the kid into doing what is best for the kid. And he finally, he earns this child's trust. And he's trying to figure out just where this kid came from and so he's just like taking his time. In the meantime, he's trying to find a job because he doesn't have a way to support them. He gets a job, the kid doesn't. Kid's convinced he's going to be a man's man and make his way, and he's 12. I mean, Oliver Optic would not be happy with, or Horatio Algiers with Eleanor Porter because this boy didn't just make his fortune, and just prove what an amazing person he is. And I loved it, but. So he convinces the kid, just keep looking. And then when it comes time for school, you can go to school because that's really the best way and all the things, right? At the same time, he had been talking to a reporter about his story. And all I'm going to say is that his story includes the fact that there is $30,000 waiting for him if he's willing to do what a will stipulates, and he's not. And I have to stop there or it's all spoilerage. But it was really fun to reread it. It's a really good story, but it isn't my favorite story in here. And it's really fun because with a story like this, with this little boy and trying to teach him that, you know, you don't want to give up the opportunities in life so that you can just do your own thing, all the stuff, it could become really heavily moralistic and preachy. It is only slightly moralistic, and I don't know that it would seem moralistic in today's writing style. People would tell the same story, exactly the same story, but it would come off slightly differently because of slightly different storytelling. So I don't feel like it's preachy, but there's that. So then the story of a nickel, though, that is so much fun. So the entire story is from the nickel's perspective. And it starts when he's in the mint, when he gets stamped and then sent out. He's in a vault forever. He finally ends up in someone's pocket. And he describes how everybody's pockets are different. And then it goes on. And the first pocket he goes to becomes the pocket that is connected with people that he's going to end up seeing a lot over time. And that was really cool. And then you go through and you see what happens and all the things. And it was just a delightful, I forgot how much I loved it. I didn't remember the first story. I did remember the second story, but there were things about it I didn't because I haven't read it in 20 years. And so it was a nice reread, lots of fun. I highly recommend it. And yeah, definitely read that. So, okay, I'm missing. No, I'm not. I did that one. Okay. I also read The Castle Rose. Okay, guys. Now, when I talked to Tabitha Kaplinger on the podcast, which that episode is on becausefictionpodcast.com, you can just type in her last name or The Castle Rose and it will show up. But, because it's not on YouTube. Anyway, when I talked to her, I knew I would love this book and I ordered it right away. That was over a year ago. Have I read it? No. But guess what? I finally read it. And my idea was to do I'll read 5 chapters a day. But then they're really, really, really short chapters. So I decided to go for 10. Until I got to 10 and didn't want to stop reading. So I went to 15. And then I had to do something. I don't remember what, but I had to do something. So I stopped. And then I decided I would read 15 chapters the next day and then 16 the final day. That would be great, right? Yeah, second day I just plowed through it and finished it. So this is a book that I shouldn't like. Okay, this is Christian fiction. It is Christian fiction. It takes place in New Orleans, and it deals with a curse. It's really interesting. She talks about, what is it, voodoo? Is it hoodoo? And they don't remember which. And now I can't remember which it turned out to be, but I think it was voodoo. Anywho, a guy he's had his life stolen from him. He is not dead. He never died. But he's not a ghost, so he's not a ghost, right? But he's not alive. People can't see him. There is a nun who can talk to him, but she can't see him. This gal shows up in New Orleans to help manage a bookstore. She can see him and she can talk to him. And she decides for her own sanity, she's going to help him because this is crazy. She's calling him ghost man, ghost boy. And the guy's like, I'm not a ghost. Every single time she says it, he flies back with, I'm not a ghost. It's really funny. But then things happen and all the stuff. And you find out how it happened, how he got in this position, what's going on. And so when someone finds out that she is trying to reverse this curse, she's going to get stopped and it's going to be ugly. And how all of this comes together at the end was so beautiful. And it's so weird to talk about how I loved a Christian fiction book, highly redemptive, and it has voodoo. Those should not be in the same sentences. But I like what she did. She showed, truth triumphing over misuse of power. And it was lovely. So it is a bit of a Beauty and the Beast meets Phantom of the Opera, but it's mostly its own story. So anyway, loved it. Highly recommend it. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. All right, those are the books that I finished and whatever. Right now I'm listening to, like I said, that Cold Winter by Chris Underwood, and that's my audiobook for right now. I'm also reading The Puzzle Within by Gina Holder last night. This is another one with kind of short chapters. So last night I got to chapter 15, and this is unusual for me to tab something in a suspense book, but I did. It said, the blatant disregard for authority ruffled Ari's feathers. She kept her opinion to herself, though a sarcastic remark about Bridget's choice of friends made scars on her teeth in their attempt to escape. And I marked it because I was like, scars on her teeth in there. That is brilliant. It was so good. So I'm looking forward to, as soon as I get done recording here, I'm going to go in. I'm going to make me a couple of street tacos and some rice and beans. Just got to heat it up. And come out here, and I'm going to eat that while this is processing with Dropbox, and I'm going to read my next 15 chapters before I start editing, because guys, I did not want to put this down. So this is the story of, you've got this young girl, Bridget, who there's a threat against her, and then you have Arizona Powers, I think her name is, and they call her Ari, and she had a terrible thing go down, and she's on the verge of losing her job with the FBI. She's given this job of protecting this. It's an ambassador's daughter who's a total brat, and she's dealt with that gal before as a small child, so they have history, right? She's on protective detail, and it's so beneath what she does. She deals with kidnapped victims and saving children and all the things. This is bodyguard stuff, and she's not impressed. And they give her this guy. He used to be a magician, but things went south in his life, so now he's like some sort of analyst for the Secret Service, maybe, I think, Department of DSS. I don't know. Anyway, he's some sort of analyst, and they're tasked with taking care of her. The very first thing that happens is she's like, well, me and my friends are going to this escape room. And they're like, what? But on the other hand, I mean, think about it. An escape room, you're all in the same room together. And so how can anything go wrong, right? Because you're all locked in there together. Yeah. The girl gets kidnapped out of the escape room, and the person who kidnapped them basically says, you bring in the police, you bring in she's, as soon as this gal's kidnapped, she's like, suspended, he's suspended, they're all in trouble. And then they find out that if they don't find this gal, she's going to die. But if they tell anyone that they're looking for her, which they cannot do because they're not supposed to be doing anything, right? Then she dies. So basically they have to go rogue, and that's where I am. And that's all I know. And I feel like it's almost spoilery, but there's really no spoileriness there. Most of that is on the back of the book. So this I am reading right now, loving it, so good, highly recommend. I'm loving the writing, I'm loving the pacing, and I'm loving the characters being perfect and imperfect and all the things together. I mean, Ari's kind of annoying, and he's kind of almost too perfect, but then you get mad at him because of things, and I don't know, I'm really liking it. So anyway, there's that one. The girls are heading to Indiana in a week or two, so I decided I better read this one fast, Sweet Home Alabama. So this is going on this week's TBR. I was going to do that Murder is Bad Manners. I had already pulled that out, but I looked down there, saw this, and went, uh-oh, wait a minute, they're leaving. I better read that so I can send it home to Shanice with them. So this will be a book this week. I cannot imagine I will not get this done. Did you just hear me? I just said I cannot, instead of can't, imagine that I will not, instead of won't, get this done. whatever. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. Everything is lovely and fine. Yeah, I'm actually a little triggered. I don't even like that word, but that's how I feel. Anyway, so yeah, Sweet Home Alaska. I'm gonna read about basically a little girl who loves Laura Ingalls Wilder in Alaska because reasons. So there's this one. This is going on it. And since we're starting May, I pulled out May's book, The Warsaw Sisters, and I think the prompt is that it has to have a place in the title. I think that's why I chose Warsaw. So The Warsaw Sisters by Amanda Barrett. This, man, it's going to be so good. Anyway, the interview about this one with her is also on Because Fiction. A richly rendered portrait of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. On a golden August morning in 1939, sisters Antonia and Helena Dubrovka send their father off to defend Poland against the looming threat, same smell, of German invasion. The next day, the first bombs fall on Warsaw, decimating their cherished city and shattering the world of their youth. When Antonia's beloved Marek is forced behind ghetto walls along with the rest of Warsaw's Jewish population, Antonia knows she cannot stand by and soon becomes a key figure in a daring network of women risking their lives to shelter Jewish children. Meanwhile, Helena finds herself drawn into the ranks of Poland's secret army, joining the fight to free her homeland from occupation. But the secrets both are forced to keep threatened to tear them apart, and the cost of resistance may prove greater than either ever imagined. That is a great ending of a synopsis. Not, will they be able to do it? Well, it'd be a really Nicholas Sparksy depressing book if they didn't. I didn't read first lines of either of those, but I'll do it on this one anyway. Antonia and Helena with hyphens. That was how I remembered our names, spoken in a single breath, always blended together. I have these three for this week, but I'm pretty sure that this one will be done by Tuesday. This one I'll probably read in a day. So I'm going to need some more for the week. I forgot to say that I have read at least one more from my 75 masterpieces every Christian should know. The one I read tonight was on El Greco. And, I feel like an idiot. So I know what El Greco means. It means the Greek. I knew that even as a child, that it means the Greek. So why has it never clicked that El Greco was Greek? He actually has a name. It's just like, I don't know. His name was Dominicus Therinopolis or something like that. But apparently the Spaniards couldn't say it, so they just called him El Greco, and it stuck. Cool information there. But I learned a lot about. I was fascinated by El Greco. That one was one of the ones that I was like, For one thing, he criticized Michelangelo. He wasn't happy with his Last Judgment. So anyway, that was fascinating. But I do want to add at least one more book to this pile. And so I brought over my handy dandy alphabet. All right, where are we? It's right there. Okay. Dice. And what letter is this? I don't even know. Looks like A. Starts with A. So I'm actually going to look here. Okay, these are my books, so I'm not doing that. I forgot until I got over there that I was also allowing the letter to be the author's name. And so I could have done an Anthony Trollope. But since I hadn't been looking at authors' names over here, and I didn't even look over there, I'm not gonna let myself look. So the answer is no, because that's mostly suspense and mystery anyway, which I've already got a couple, so we're not gonna do that. I found one that I could have done by Suzanne Woods Fisher, but the problem is I think it's the second book, so I skipped that. And then there was another one. Oh, one, I thought it was The Awakening, but no, Crossroads of Awakening. So I skipped that because I was really trying to go for the first one. A Tangled Web was there, but I really wanted something more contemporary because I've already got historical. So I was like, okay. So we have two that I'm going with, and I don't know which one to do. So here's the deal. Obviously, I want to read All Booked Up because and All Booked Up. But, and we've already talked about what this is, so I'm not going to read what it's about. But basically, a gal has a house full of books, and she's going to have to sell because she can't afford it. So instead, she rents out rooms to other women in her situation so that she can stay in her house. That's the story. Then we have, okay, this book is not my jam usually, but I bought it because the author... I feel like someone in the family died right just before it was coming out, or she lost her home. Something big happened just before it was coming out. So she couldn't promote her book at all. I believe it might have been her debut novel. And so someone put a call out, hey, you know, if you're looking for a good book, check this one out. Well, I went and bought it because I'm like, okay. So I know I probably won't keep it because it's straight up romance, but... it would get it done and out of my house, for one thing. But two, it could be good. It's not like I never like a romance ever. I mean, that's not true. Usually I don't dislike them even. They're just not usually my first choice. So it would be nice to get A Love to Call Home read, and then I can find out if I'm even going to keep it, which, again, I don't think I am. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy it, and I might be able to say something about it for someone who really loves this kind of thing, and then, you know, they'll know if they want to read it. I can send it to someone. Just saying. So I'm strongly leaning toward this one, actually, because I know I will read this fast. I'm not going to let this go very long before I can't take it anymore. I'm going to have to read it, right? So I feel like I should do this one. This is A Love to Call Home. It is by Brianne Andrews. She's determined to keep him in the friend zone. He's proving that love's greatest battles are fought with unwavering patience. Single mom Adriana Morales is determined to find stability for herself and her son, even if it means working multiple jobs and relying on her family for help. It definitely means ignoring any man who tries to sweet talk her into giving them a chance. She has no interest in letting another man abuse her trust or derail her carefully structured plans. Sergeant Nathan Prescott meets Adriana while she's working at her family's food truck. Intrigued by her sassiness and strength. Okay, I do like a sassy, I'm just saying. Anyway, apparently it's one of those parenthetical phrases, intrigued by her sassiness and strength. Anyway, unfortunately, she shut down the advances immediately. Finding someone to build a life with shouldn't be that hard, but the dumpster fire ending to his last relationship says otherwise. Nathan is a man of his word. He's promised Adriana that he'd pursue nothing more than friendship. The closer they get, the harder it is to ignore a desire for a deeper connection. And then, you know, that goes on. So, I mean, again, typical romance, which is not a bad thing. It's just not my usual whatever. But, yeah, I think I want to do this one. But, you guys tell me, which one? Is there a reason I should read this one before this one? So, or should I read this one so we can let folks know about it and so that I can decide if I'm going to keep it or not? And if not, I can pass it on to somebody else. That's always a good thing, right? So, one of these, tell me which. And how about you? What did you finish last week? Anything good? Tell me that somebody is having better luck with audiobooks, please, because this was a very discouraging week. I can usually suck it up when I don't enjoy a narrator. I can find a way to make it palatable. But this week I had a couple of really bad ones back to back, and that was so frustrating. And I feel like it might have made the audio for the murder at Holden Beach, or whatever it is, Mystery at Holden Beach, It may have made that feel worse than it actually was even. I don't know. But yeah, it just, there was enough language in the beginning that I'm like, if this is at the beginning, it's probably going to stay sprinkled, pretty consistently. And again, it wasn't horrific. It's just not what I prefer. And if I'm going to have to choke down some of that, you've got to give me a reason to love everything else. And I wasn't loving everything else. Maybe someday I'll give it a chance. I don't know. Doubt it. So anyway, what you've been reading, what do I need to know about? And yeah, which of those should I read? I'll be back on Friday with something. Also, side note, what about Tuesday instead of Monday for wrap-up videos? And you hear me out. So on Monday and Saturday are the days that my podcast comes out. So now that they're dropping on YouTube, that means that Mondays have 2 videos coming out. I don't know if that matters to anybody or not. But if it does, if that's annoying, would it be better if I moved these videos to Tuesday? Let me know. I don't have a preference. But it dawned on me, 2 coming out in a day, maybe there's a reason I shouldn't be doing that. I don't know. I don't care. But, I thought I'd ask. Meanwhile, this is what's coming this week. I guess I can put these over here. Come here. I might as well add you to it since I'm still reading you. I was really actually kind of hoping that one of the, the 66 books would have an A, but nope. So anyway, there's these, and that's the one I'm reading this week, which is pretty cool. Definitely know I will finish these 2. And I don't know. I'm not concerned about finishing Warsaw Sisters before I start something else. I'm going to want to have some mixed up stuff. What is that one over there? I don't know. Anyway, so this is what I got going. Or I'm going to have going. Just got to decide on these. And yeah, I'll see you on Friday with something. Don't you just love how together I am? How with it I am? How totally, yeah, we're just going to stop right there. I'll talk to you later.